Hi, good evening. It's St. Peter's Hove here. Welcome to our little broadcast on St. Mark's Gospel. We're in chapter 14 and we're going to be looking at verses, let me just have a look, verses 12, 13, 14 and 15. We're making slow progress, but step by step. Now, St. Mark very rarely gives time indications. When you're writing a book, particularly if you're writing a story, usually you have to have what's called a time scheme. That is to say, you've got to give the impression that time is passing and that all the events you're describing fit into some sort of time frame. So Mark doesn't do that. It's quite possible that Jesus' ministry took 3 years, but it's also possible, reading the Gospels in other ways, it only took 1 year. Whichever way you look at it, the time frame is vague, and he hardly ever says what month it is, what day of the week it is, what year it is, and so on and so forth. He doesn't. I mean, sometimes it says it was near Passover or something like that, some vague, or it was indication of time. Here he's very specific. He says, on the first day of unleavened bread, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when the Passover lamb was sacrificed, his disciples said to him, where do you want us to go and make the preparations for you to eat the Passover? So St. Mark calls to mind the actual day. It's the day of the unleavened bread is starting when the Paschal lamb is sacrificed. Now, why is he doing that? When you keep on mentioning the unleavened bread and the Paschal lamb and Jesus in the same sentence, the idea is to create in your mind an equivalence. Jesus is the Paschal lamb. He is the one who is to be sacrificed to take away the sins of the world. And also, he is the unleavened bread. The Paschal lamb is sacrificed once and for all on the cross on Good Friday. But the unleavened bread is with us always, the unleavened bread, the bread of the Eucharist, the bread of the real presence of Christ. So Jesus then, dying for us on the cross, Jesus now and always with us in the Blessed Sacrament. That is what I think is happening there. There is an equivalence in our mind, this sort of Jesus the Paschal Lamb, Jesus the unleavened bread. So I think that comes in there very strongly. Then they say, well, where do you want us to prepare a place for you to eat the Passover? Jesus is the one who's going to be directing them to eat the Passover. And he then gives us this long rigmarole saying, well, what you must do is you must go into the city, you'll see a man carrying a water jar, and you go ask this man, you follow him. It's all been prepared in advance, in other words. And he'll show you a room that is fully furnished, ready for the Passover. In fact, ready for 12 people, 13 people to eat the Passover. In other words, with a very large table and with 13 couches and all the stuff that you need for the Passover. And you need quite a lot of stuff for the Passover. And so it's all been arranged. Now, they suddenly think, well, we've got to eat the Passover. We better hurry up and think about this. And Jesus says to them, it's all been pre-arranged. It's all arranged, and I am the one arranging it. Now, there's something very symbolic going on here. Jesus is going to sacrifice himself. He's not being sacrificed. He is sacrificing himself. He is in charge of the process. He is the one organizing the Passover, eating it with his disciples. He has planned this Passover. He is in control of the events. All the events that are going to go to unroll, or pan out in front of us, the main person in this event is Jesus Christ, the protagonist. He is a free actor. Now that's really very important theologically, I think, too, because he laid down his life for us. He did not have his life taken away. He laid down his life for us. And it says very clearly in the Eucharistic prayer, voluntarie traduretur. He was voluntarily handed over. Judas handed him over. Judas was just the occasion of the handing over. It was Jesus who handed over himself. Now, just as Jesus gives himself freely as an act of love, so too we must give ourselves freely as an act of love to him and to each other. That's enough for tonight. So, a few more verses and we'll carry on tomorrow. Bye. Hope you have a great evening.